welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. A reminder, by the way, Danny Tarkanian will be joining us in studio tomorrow. Should be a fun, jam-packed show. Of course, Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports tomorrow as well. It's funny, I was just watching this ridiculous video on Twitter. I don't even know why I watched it. It's labeled, it's one of Floyd Mayweather's kids. And he looks like he's around 15, 16 years old. And it's labeled, look at the risks Floyd Mayweather's children can take. And he's holding an iPhone or some sort of expensive phone. And he's on the second floor of his home, and he throws it on the first floor to see if it breaks or not. And these are the type of tweets his kids are putting out. Meanwhile, keep in mind, Floyd Mayweather has made a career out of putting $100 bills, lighting them on fire. Good thing his kids are doing the same thing he did. He sets a great example for his kids. And anyway, don't even get me started with Floyd Mayweather. But I do want to. I do want to get.
Hey, you know what? That was a really good story.
I do want to get
Please expand on it. I'm interested in more.
Well, his kids are acting like buffoons, and he's a buffoon. So he might be a good businessman, but he does a lot of dumb things outside the ring, and his kids are doing dumb things. I guess that's the correlation I was trying to make there. But anyway, he's got more followers than me, so I guess I should be jealous. Anyway, joining us on the line right now, he is our hoops guru. He knows basketball inside and out. None other than Jamieson Welsh from Drive Time Sports. Jamieson, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, guys. Thanks for having me as always.
What's up, Jamieson?
Jamieson, before I get to the NBA, there's plenty of storylines. Of course, we got the Eastern Conference Finals going on right now. Before I get to that, a couple NBA stories, but I want to start with this. We had Anderson Hunt in studio a few days ago. Anderson told the story about how Larry Johnson, grandmama, met T.J. Otzelberger. He says TJ goes up to him. Larry has absolutely no idea who he is. TJ has Larry sign a couple autographs. Then TJ says, "Can I get a picture with you?" Of course, Larry obliges. And as TJ walks away, somebody says to him, "Hey, did you know that was the UNLV coach?" Larry says, "I had no idea. No idea who that guy is." Later that day, the UNLV basketball official Twitter account tweets out a picture of TJ and Larry Johnson saying, TJ making great strides, reaching out to former players. Underneath, Larry Johnson tweets out a one-word response, no. And it turns out that's what happened. That's the story. According to Anderson Hunt, who is best friends with Larry Johnson, came right from Larry Johnson's mouth. First of all, number one, what do you make of that story? And number two, isn't that inexcusable that you are the head coach of UNLV? Tell me what you think about this. Tell us.
So first things first, I was actually supposed to be at that event. My good friend Travis Scribner threw that event. He is a wealth management person in town, but he went to UNLV. He's a big-time alum. There's a lot of people in town. He threw that. I was at the Red Rock. So I was supposed to be there. I don't know the whole ins and outs. I didn't even ask him about it because I didn't know it became a thing until much later. But it was a lot of UNLV people there, a lot of people from around town that were there. Here's the thing. Once you take a picture with someone in this day and age, it's going to be posted one way or another, whether it's a meme or a picture that correlates something together. That's just how it's going to be. I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, I understand Larry didn't know who he was, and most people don't. Most people around the city still don't know who the guy is. I think people still butcher his name. With that being said, I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't see where all the hoopla is coming from. Like, it is what it is. You probably have the best player ever played at UNLV. Well, the new coach, and that's what it is. I don't think it's a bad thing when you're putting two and two together.
Okay, well, here's why I think it's a bad thing, and I guess we'll have to agree to disagree on this. But here's my take on the whole thing: if you are the head basketball coach of UNLV, and you have an opportunity to speak with, even if it's for only 30 seconds, somebody who's got a little bad blood with the way they treated Jerry Tarkanian and Stacey Augmon, and we all know Larry has some bad blood there. If you have an opportunity just to introduce yourself or say something like, hey, it'd be great if we could meet and talk for 10 minutes. I'd love to have a conversation with you. You were a hero of mine growing up, whatever the case may be. You have to take that opportunity, and to me, there's no excuse why he wouldn't, and just take a picture with him and sign an autograph, get an autograph. I think he missed a very big opportunity there. And Jamieson, you might disagree with me on this too, but I find it to be a little bit sneaky that the UNLV athletic department tweets it out like he's reaching out to these guys. When Anderson Hunt told me Anderson's reached out to TJ, TJ hasn't returned a call. Same thing with Danny Tarkanian and his brother. So there's a history right now. He's not returning certain calls. And I thought that was sneaky. And maybe you disagree with me on that, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, even if it is, I don't think it's a big deal per se. Because the UNLV have anything to do with a former player that's in a good spirit, they're going to post. That's their job. If you're a social media director, any picture that has any of your former players, even when someone's a championship or advanced to the finals, like they're going to post a picture. That's just how it goes. However, I think it got kind of overblown regarding the whole situation. But here's the thing. Altenberger is trying to catch up in recruiting. Like, he first came out here behind because he got hired kind of late. Not so late, but he got hired kind of later in the process than, you'd like. I do know that the lack of communication is a situation. I've confirmed that with a couple of people, that with certain coaches in the city and certain people in town, that has been an issue and that needs to be corrected because, that you are correct. That one I totally agree with. The communication thing, I don't know if he's overwhelmed. I don't know if he has a full staff. I don't know the whole story, but I do know communication has been an issue with some very prominent people in the city, and they have mentioned that to me several times. So that I understand completely.
All right, fair enough. All right, we'll move on. We'll see. Go ahead, JD.
Just to make sure, Jamieson, you don't have a problem with the most decorated player in UNLV history at his own volition typing no under a picture with the current UNLV basketball coach. You don't think that's weird?
So here's the thing. I don't have a problem with UNLV.
Because if he didn't type no, it would be a non-issue. We wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Social media directors and social media managers, they have to get content. So if you see, like you said, the most highly decorated player to ever come from your school with the head coach, you don't know, because most people didn't know about that situation. Most people didn't know about that gathering. It's just one of those things where you're going to post it. You're going to, especially if you're a social media director, you're going to assume that, hey, they're in the same place in Vegas. You're going to put two and two together. And unfortunately, it wasn't that way, but that's what happens. And remember, we're in the day and age where you post first and ask questions later.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's move on to a few NBA situations before we get to the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. And by the way, the Eastern Conference Finals going on right now between Toronto and Milwaukee. We'll get to that in a second. Let's talk Boston Celtics for a minute. There's been a lot of speculation. Kyrie Irving might be gone from Boston. Terry Rozier on the Celtics making some comments the other day saying that if Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward stay, he wants to be traded. What do you make of that?
Of course, he's in a situation where he can make a lot of money, and he can't do that being the backup point guard. I don't blame him one bit.
Yeah, he's
but
good
also,
enough.
Kyrie Irving's a guy that, he's probably leaving. If I had to put money on it, I'd bet he's leaving. When you're a point guard and you've had success like Terry Rozier's had during his career, especially last postseason, you want a chance to be the starter, and also you want to be a chance to get paid like a starter. That's the key thing. When you're backing up guys getting 20 minutes a night, it's a different story. It's hard to get paid that way. But also, at the end of the day, Kyrie was such a downer this whole season in terms of his mood, in terms of his play. His play doesn't fit what Brad Stevens does best. Brad Stevens is a guy that likes multiple passes of possession, a lot of movement each possession. He's not an ISO guy. So having Kyrie Irving there was really a bad fit. Gordon Hayward's still getting healthy, so I'm not going to put anything on him just yet. But at the end of the day, my whole thing with the Celtics was this. They had too many guys and not enough minutes. And whenever you have too many guys and not enough minutes and guys are playing for contracts, it's the worst position you can ever be in because no one's ever going to be healthy. There's going to be unhappy people wherever you go. And this season, there's more than one unhappy person, probably 3 or 4 on that roster, and they never can get over the hump.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on to the L.A. Lakers. Of course, they hire a new coach, Frank Vogel, and the assistant coach, Jason Kidd, on a 3-year contract as well. A lot of people are speculating that when LeBron James decides to retire, people believe that Jason Kidd was told he will be the next head coach. Is that true? What do you make of this hire? I think Vogel's in a very, very difficult situation.
I don't think it's true necessarily, but with that being said, here's the situation. Frank Vogel's a really good coach. The Orlando situation is still kind of weird, but Frank Vogel's a good coach. Like, he's had success in this league. I think the whole process is weird. The whole process of him becoming the coach is very weird to me, but he's a very good coach, and I think he'll be fine in L.A. They need the talent. That's going to be the key in L.A. If they get the talent pieces, he'll be fine. Again, every coach will tell you, I'd rather have the Jims and Joes. I'll run X's and O's later. If I got the talent, I'll be fine. So that's my thing with Frank Vogel. As long as they have the pieces around him and they complement LeBron and whomever else they bring in or draft or whatever it may be, then he'll be fine. But the best thing for the Lakers that's happened over the last 2 months is they got the 4th pick in the draft last night. That's probably the best thing that's happened to them since the season's ended because they've had a lot of negative publicity, but finally a ray of sunlight, and that was them taking the lottery gods getting the 4th pick last night.
A lot of people feel like Jason Kidd is really the best guy that can help ball, that can help him with his game. A lot of people have made those types of comparisons.
Yeah, they have
Jason
similar
Kidd,
games.
Yeah, but Jason Kidd in his earlier part of his career and how much he improved his jump shot over the course of his career and the way he sees the floor and the way that this kid Ball sees the floor. So my question is, do you agree with that? And you think Jason Kidd is a great choice for the Lakers as an assistant to help this kid?
I think Jason Kidd's one of the best basketball minds there is. So you can never really go wrong having that guy around as long as he's not going to cause any issues. I mean, he's had a lot of stuff happen off the court. I'm not going to talk about the stuff that happened while he was a player, but even while he was a coach, he had a situation in New York as well. So it's just a lot of other stuff, extracurricular stuff with Jason Kidd you kind of have to worry about. But as a basketball mind, there's only a handful of people that are, that know basketball like Jason Kidd. So if you can have him around, especially if you have a lot of young guys around, that's a no-brainer. However, we don't know if Lonzo Ball's going to be on this team come next month. They have the 4th pick in the draft. They have to upgrade and improve the team. I really see them making a move with that 4th pick. I see them packaging up 1 or 2 of those young guys with that pick and getting an all-star player or a guy that's on the verge of being an all-star player and making a move like that, whether it's Anthony Davis, whether it's a Bradley Beal, whomever, because they're under the pressure to win now. They don't have 2 years. They don't have 3 years. They have to win now, and they have to get all-stars now because you can't have the Clippers who play in the same building have a better team than you after you have a summer like you had last year and this year. Can't happen. You got to be able to put together a better roster and also have more star power.
So the Pelicans get the number 1 pick in the draft. They're probably going to draft Zion Williamson. Does AD still guarantee a trade? Does he still want to trade? And is there any chance that we see Zion as a Las Vegas Pelican in the next few years?
So a lot of questions there. First things first, AD's still gone. He wants to win now. As good as Zion is, I don't think you're going to see Zion win 50 games as a rookie or a second-year player out west. That's just too difficult. West is hard enough as it is. You got teams like OKC winning 48 games and finishing 8th, 7th and 8th, and it's just too difficult. AD's going to go to LA, New York, or a team that with a strong chance to contend. However, Zion's got to be the number 1 pick. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's the number 1 pick. John Morant's the number 2 pick. The Grizzlies already confirmed that. The clock starts at the 4th pick. We know the first 3 picks of this draft. It's Zion, Morant, and Barrett. Those are the first 3 picks. After that, we'll see. That's when the fun starts. That's when who likes Culliver or DeAndre Hunter or whomever. But I do think we do get the Las Vegas Pelicans. The reason why I do say that is because, one, Louisiana's a football state. They really don't care for basketball. They're not a basketball state. Now, will Zion change that? Who knows? I heard they did 3,000 ticket sales today since they announced the lottery wins. I don't know. But that being said, it's a football state. It's not a basketball state. It's a football state. And if Zion isn't as greatly as advertised, I don't see it happening. I don't see them extending the lease there. I don't see it making it work in New Orleans. So, yeah, they would move. The only issue is this. Seattle's first before Vegas. It's unfortunate, but the way they lost their team, the NBA is going to make it right and give them a team first before they give Vegas a team.
Yeah, see, to me, that's completely ridiculous. I understand why they're doing it. I just don't agree with it. I lived in Seattle. I think Vegas is a bigger basketball market. I know that the Seattle Supersonics were a good franchise, but there's a reason why Seattle left. There's a reason.
I'd love to see how the Summer League would do in Seattle. I bet it would do about 50% as well.
It'd be a joke. It'd be a joke compared to where it is.
But
what it is here.
If Seattle gets its next Sean Kemp with Zion Williamson, that'd be cool.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Let's talk about the Eastern Conference Finals right now. Milwaukee up 106-100 in Game 1, just about under a minute to play. So it appears as though Milwaukee will escape with a win in Game 1. And I'll tell you what, if there was any game, Jamieson, that Toronto could have stole, it was this one, because it seemed like their 2-guard, he had probably the best game he'll have this entire series. Would you agree with that? What do you make of this game?
Well, Kyle Lowry had a great game. He was knocking out shots, played well defensively, had a very, very good game. But they're down 6 with 28 seconds to go, and the Bucks are shooting free throws. So this game is pretty much over. And I do agree with you. They needed to pull this one out. The problem is this: if Kawhi Leonard is not playing at an all-world level, they have no chance because their others are so inconsistent. You used to know what you're going to get out of Lowry and Danny Green and Ibaka, Marc Gasol's past his prime. Siakam's really good, but he's still young, so he's going to be up and down a bit, but he's still very good. The Raptors are so inconsistent as a ball club that if Kawhi is having an off night or not a great night, it's almost impossible for them to win because they just don't have another guy you can guarantee every night that's going to get you 20 points. They don't have that on an every night basis.
How many games do you think you think this series goes? And I would imagine you're picking Milwaukee to win the series.
Yeah, I have Milwaukee in 6 to begin with. Nothing really changes. I think Toronto's still really good at home. Also, Toronto still has Kawhi Leonard, who's a very, very good player. With that being said, Milwaukee's a much better team. They're deeper. They're well coached. They shoot the three better. They're probably a better defensive team. They're just a better overall team. So I have Milwaukee in 6, if not shorter. And I think Milwaukee and Golden State final will be a very good finals that we haven't had in a while.
And you mentioned Golden State. Let's talk about the Western Conference Finals. They didn't have a problem in Game 1 at home versus the Portland Trailblazers. Do Portland have any chance in hell of stealing Game 2 and making this a series?
They definitely have a chance. The way they defended Steph Curry, though, they got to change that up. You can't have your center in the paint on pick and rolls. That's not going to work. If your center's going to sink that far low, you're not going to win many games in the series. Like you might not win any games.
Forgive me. I don't understand this. You're an NBA coach. You have an NBA coaching staff. How the hell do you go into a game against the Golden State Warriors? You know they're going to be throwing a number of picks, especially with Steph Curry, to try to get him free, and you have a center that is sagging underneath the basket. I'm sorry, but this isn't a JV high school coach would know better. What the hell are they doing?
So here's the situation. Enes Kanter is not the best defender out there. They don't have a lot of other choices on their team. However, the game plan from what he said in the presser last night and this morning was to sink Kanter back and have the guy basically go over the screen and fight over the screen and contest that way. It somewhat makes sense, but we saw in the last series, if you trap Steph or whoever's off the pick and roll, you have a better chance at defending them. However, Portland's not a great defensive team, so you're asking a team that really doesn't practice defense like that to all of a sudden come up with a plan in 48 hours after a 7-game series. Very, very tough to do. Now, I will say Game 2 will be different. There will be some different wrinkles thrown in for Game 2. Game 1's always tough. Whenever a team is coming off a 7-game series and they have 48 hours to prepare and the other team's been resting since Friday, that's always a tough one. That's always a tough adjustment to make. But what I will say is this, Portland, they're at a disadvantage because their 2 guards are 6'3" and under. As good as CJ and Dame are, they're too short because they're chasing around Clay and Steph on one end, and then they have to, they also have to shoot over Iguodala and Clay on the other end. So it's very, very difficult for them to get off. They're going to have a game, maybe even 2 games in this series where they put up really good numbers, but it's still very difficult over a series to put up good numbers over Tar and very good defenders. That's why I have the Warriors in 5, if not less.
So, Jamieson, I took the Raptors and I bought it up to 7, and then I took the Bucks -7 second half. So I'm looking at a pretty interesting middle situation here. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, you're in a very interesting situation. The Bucks are up 8 with a review right now. It's 23 seconds left. I think Toronto will get the ball back. You have some action. You are in a very, very interesting place. The next 5 minutes or so, because you know how these replays take, it's going to be sweat bullets.
At least 20 minutes. Okay. Yeah.
You're going to be all right.
And, you're right. I think the Blazers, if you look at the stats, the Blazers, they missed everything. They had a lot of wide open looks yesterday, and they just missed everything. And Steph Curry made, what were the Warriors? Were they 53% from 3? They were, 16 of 32 or 17 of 33 or something like that?
But here's the thing, JD. You got to look at how they shot. It's one thing if the team is making everything, but you have to look at the type of shots they're getting. So if you're going to give the Warriors wide open threes, you can forget about it.
Right.
The series will be over by Monday. That's the thing. Or if it's coming off rotation where somebody's open, that's one thing. But when I look at the situation, I look at it like Portland was dead tired from that 7-game series. They had to travel again to go to Golden State. Game 1 was going to be rough. Tomorrow we'll see a much better Portland team. I just don't think it'll be good enough. I don't think they're a good enough team to get it taken care of. They just have so many disadvantages because their bench is very shaky, and their wing players, Aminu and Harkless, they're average guys. You need above-average wing players to play against the Warriors. When Draymond Green is playing like he's been playing the last month, you better have an above-average wing or better. If not, you have no chance.
All right, so let's make the assumption that the Milwaukee Bucks are playing the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals. And by the way, I think that's a pretty fair assumption. I agree with you. I believe that's what we'll see in the NBA Finals. Does a team like the Milwaukee Bucks have a chance? Do they have any chance at all of making that a series?
They have some 2004 Detroit Pistons in them. What I mean by that is they share the ball well. They defend very well. They're not as nasty in terms of the physicality and the mentality that those Pistons teams had. But they have some very, very interesting parts. A lot of guys from different teams. They've come together as a unit. They play very hard. They shoot the ball very, very well, and they're well coached. Nothing would surprise me at all. Nothing would when it comes to the Bucks. They have a shot. If they do face the Warriors, they have a legit shot, more than a puncher's chance to beat them. Now, if KD comes back healthy, that's a different story. But right now, I'd give the Bucks 35% chance to win the whole thing.
What's the story with KD? Is he playing in Game 2?
No, he's out for Game 2, reevaluated after that. But he's still injured. They don't need him for this series. As crazy as it sounds, they don't need him for this series. They definitely don't need him if they go up 2-0. You don't need him to lose a game or two. You don't really need to force to bring him back. They have enough advantages in this series where they can get by in this series rather easily as long as they don't turn the ball over. They can get by Portland fairly easy. Here's the thing. Portland had two good matchups in this playoffs. They had OKC, who's overrated in general, and they had Denver, who's very young. Now, inexperience came and bit Denver in the butt on Sunday, but Denver's going to be very good going forward. But Portland's been there before. Their veterans made big plays down the stretch, and it showed. Now, the Warriors are a totally different matchup. There's no veteran. You can't get by on, not being the veteran team in this situation. The Warriors have everything you need to be as a playoff team. They've been there. They're more talented. Their coaching is great. So it's a very tough matchup for Portland. With that being said, Portland's had a hell of a season, and they have nothing to be disappointed about. This is just the Warriors. This is just their victory train, and the Portland Trailblazers are on the track.
Going back, and I agree. Going back to Milwaukee for a second, we all know how good the Greek Freak is, and he's going to score his points. But I think when this team plays their best, it's when Lopez. You can't expect Lopez to have 29 points every game, but he scored 29 points tonight. When Lopez is playing well and he's efficient from the field and he's making shots, I think this Milwaukee team is really tough to beat.
So here's the issue in the series with Golden State. He's going to have to guard the pick and roll. And if he's out there chasing around Steph or KD or both, that's going to be the issue because Golden State has guys that can stay with him on the perimeter. Because Marc Gasol's not going to be out there on the three-point line. That's not Marc Gasol's strength at this point in time in his career. But Golden State can go small, and they can guard Lopez. They can put Looney on him. They can put Draymond on him, and they can neutralize what he does best. And that keeps their floor space. That's why Johnson's able to do what he does. With that being said, though, Milwaukee plays like 10 guys. And all those guys have a role on their team. But Malcolm Brogdon coming back is probably the most not talked about thing that's happened over the last week and a half or so. Because he's been a godsend for them. He's a guy that gets you 15 points and play very good defense. And he just fit right in without any really hesitation. So that's been a huge addition for them.
All right, fair enough. Jamieson, before we let you go, can you please give out that information? How do people follow you on social media and follow your stuff?
At the Jamieson on Twitter. Facebook is my first and last name. If you follow Brian or JD or Chris Wynn or whomever, you'll be able to find me on there. On your show every week, whether it's Wednesday or Thursday or whatever day it may be, ESPN 1100 in the city, 1340 in several states. Let's see, ESPN, I think 1480 in the Midwest. So, yeah. A lot of outlets, man. A lot of outlets this time of the year.
A lot of different AM signals. Well, Jamieson, we're glad you're on this AM signal 720. Thank you so much for taking some time to join us, my man. And we will catch you next week. Great job as always.
Thanks for having me as always. Definitely appreciate it.
All right, there
See
you go.
Jamieson.
Jamieson Welsh from Drive Time Sports, our hoops guru. I like that. Back to back, we got our golf guru, and then we got our hoops guru. I like that. Boy, do those two guys know what they're doing? Are you kidding me? Jamieson is a wealth of basketball knowledge, and the golf guru, Dennis Silvers, he knows his golf, man. He knows what he's talking about. That's for sure. But those guys did a fantastic job, and this is a big sports week. Make no mistake about it. You got the PGA Championship, and in the same week, you got the Eastern and Western Conference Finals in the NBA. You got the NHL playoffs heading to the Stanley Cup Finals soon. And you got the Eastern and Western Conference Finals there as well. So this is one of my favorite times of the year. March Madness is usually always my favorite time of the year, but I love this time of the year when you got the NBA Eastern and Western Conference Finals aligned with the NHL Conference Finals. It's a fun time of the year. And then you got a little golf over the weekend to watch, too, with the PGA Championship. So this is a really, really fun couple days of sports. And certainly we're going to have plenty to talk about on Monday in going over what should be a fantastic sports weekend. As I mentioned earlier, in studio tomorrow, Danny Tarkanian. As you know, Danny has always been a Republican. He comes from a family that is to the right, and I don't think he'd mind me saying way to the right, because I believe he is. And we want to talk about and continue the discussion about this new abortion law and these new laws that are trying to be put in place in other states. I know Danny's going to disagree with me on this one, but he's going to be in studio tomorrow, and we're going to talk about this. I promise you there's going to be some fireworks, folks. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm not going to let him off the hook. I never do when he comes in studio. So that is going to be a lot of fun. We also are going to be joined by Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports as he joins us every Thursday as well. Lon Kruger scheduled to join us on Friday, the Coaches versus Cancer event, which is a fantastic event coming up Sunday through Tuesday. So thanks for joining us, everybody. Ken Thompson coming up next, and we'll catch you same place tomorrow night, everybody. Have a great night.